All right, guys, I'm making this quick video because I heard there's some questions about number 4 in the classwork from yesterday. Or from today. Sorry, this afternoon. It was where this function, they gave you this function when they asked you to order different average rate of change and instant rate of changes from greatest to least. Part A was the average rate of change from -5 to 1. Okay, so you just had to use your slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which I'll write over here because I'm going to use this more than once, right? So what's the difference between those 2 points? So let's start here. So y2 is just going to be f of 1 minus y1 is going to be f of -5 over the difference between 1 minus -5, right? Okay, so then let's solve that. The denominator becomes 1 plus 5, which is 6. And then on the top, f of 1. Let's just plug in 1 here. It's going to be 1 plus 2 squared minus, then let's plug in -5. -5 plus 2, all of that squared. Squeezing it in there, right? So now when I solve that, that becomes 3 squared minus -5 plus 2 becomes -3 squared all over 6, which then becomes 9 minus 9 over 6, which becomes 0 over 6, which is 0. So the average rate of change there is 0. Okay, so that's 1. B said to do the same thing, but now your interval is -3 to 4. Okay, so you're just applying the same thing, new numbers. We're going to do f of 4 minus f of -3 all over 4 minus -3, just using the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. F of 4 is going to be 4 plus 2 squared. Remember, just using that, plugging in 4. Minus, now I'm going to do the same thing, plug in -3 plus 2 squared. All over 4 minus -3 becomes positive 7. This becomes 6 squared minus -1 squared over 7. Simplify that more, that's 36 minus 1 over 7, which becomes 35 over 7, which becomes 5. Okay, so right now if I'm listing them in order, B is greater than A, because 5 is greater than 0. C was the one where you had to find the instant rate of change when x equals -3. So you have to use the concept here of what is instant rate of change. So instant rate of change is the slope of the tangent line at that instant, right? So that means you need to remember what this graph looks like. You could put it on Desmos if you want to, but you should also quickly look at that and know that that is an x squared function with a transformation, right? X squared, it's a parabola. Should have an origin at 0, 0. But what does that plus 2 inside the parentheses do? That's that transformations we talked about last year that moves it to the left 2 spots. So my function here, if I'm just going to quickly sketch it, instead of the origin being at 0, 0, it has been translated to the left 2 spots, right? So what is, and you can quickly, or am I, sorry, I'm -3. So the origin is now at -2, 0, right? Because I can check that. If I did f at -2, I'd have -2 plus 2 squared, which is 0. That's my new origin. And then if you want to plot some points from there, you can. But really, so let's do f of 0 just to get another point. F of 0 is going to be 0 plus 2 squared, which is 4. So at 0, it's at 4. Okay. And I could keep doing this. Let's go to, what if I did f of -4? That would be -4 plus 2 squared, which is going to be 4. So I can see what my parabola is going to start looking like. Right? It's going like this, and then it's getting wider and wider, going up more steeply, more steeply, more steeply. If you want to check on your graphing calculator, you can. Right? X plus 2 squared. Let's graph it. Right, so there it is, and you can see that it's going up. So this side, the slope is negative, right? Because it's going down. This side, the slope is positive. And the slope of the tangent line at every point, if I were to actually get in there, my drawing's horrible compared to this, right? But if I were actually to get in there, the slope is getting steeper as you go up here, right? It's getting steeper. So it's getting more positive on this side and more negative on that side. So what is the instant rate of change at -3? Well, -3 is about here. Right, so there's -3. There's the slope of that tangent line. All I know right now is it's a negative. So that's helpful because these two are positive. So the instant rate of change at x equals -3 is negative, or you can say is less than 0. That might be enough to get us to order these because these are positive. Okay, D is the same thing except it's the instant rate of change when x equals 4. So where is x equals 4? It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be somewhere out here, right? If I zoom in on this, show you the calculator. This is not a good zoom. Let's see if it lets me. Let me zoom square it. It's very standard. There we go. So you can see at 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's actually off the image, but it's getting more steep. So it's a positive slope there. Hopefully you can see that it's going up. If I drew a tangent line at 4, it's going to be a positive slope. So now, though, I have to think, is it going to be, I know it's greater than 0. I know it's greater than this slope because it's negative, this point. Is it greater than 5? And just looking at this, I'm forgetting this window. Let's go out to a y max of, I don't know, 50. Right? You can see it's getting more steep. Does it look like here? And sorry if it's a little bit blurry. Let me see if I can get that shine off of it. It's because it's right under the camera. If I go up to 1, 2, 3, 4 here, does that look like it's a slope of greater than 5? Right? So most likely it is, right? So I'm just going to say positive. Most likely greater than 5, which is why in the answer key, the order they had from, I don't know if they had it greatest to least, but let's just do it least to greatest. I don't have the paper in front of me. But if I'm going least to greatest, the smallest value is definitely C because it's negative, followed by A because it's 0, followed by B because it's 5, then followed by D because it looks greater than 5. To be honest, if you flipped B and D, like you thought D was less than 5, and because if you're eyeballing it, that's fine, right? Right now it's just an estimate. The really important thing here that you got out of this is not that you order them least to greatest, is that you understand here the average rate of change is 0, you understand here that it's 5, and that you can pull from your graph of the parabola that the slope instant rate of change at -3 is negative, because the slope at that of the tangent line at that point would be negative, right? If you could just draw a line that went only through that. And same thing for at 4, that you can see that the slope there is very positive. That's why the instant rate of change there is very positive, which is why in the answer key they put like x greater than 0. Those are the important parts. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. We'll connect more tomorrow. Bye.